Coming up on today's show, the Eagles lose a valuable coach, Matt Patricia, on this coaching staff, considering the beef he has with Darius Slay, and a lot of Eagles draft buzz following the NFL Combine from the last couple of days. Before we get started, though, make sure you subscribe to the channel because next week our coverage is going to be the best and most elite Eagles coverage here on YouTube. The NFL free agency tampering period starts on Monday, and then the new league year starts later that week. So we're going to start to hear about these deals, and when we do, we're going to report on it here on the show. So subscribe, lock us in, and with that, let's begin today's show. All right, happy Monday. Hope all of your weeks are off to a great start. This is Eagles Now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr., and we begin with a subtraction to the Eagles coaching staff, and this is a big loss. The Eagles losing their defensive backs coach in Dennard Wilson. It was reported that they mutually agreed to move on from one another, but oftentimes when an internal candidate like Wilson is passed up for a promotion to defensive coordinator like he was because Philadelphia hired Sean Desai, oftentimes that coach decides to lead the organization. And Marcus Hayes of the Philadelphia Inquirer reported that Nick Sirianni met with Dennard Wilson over the weekend, and he did not get the sense that Wilson was going to work well with Sean Desai, and Wilson probably felt slighted that he got bypassed for this promotion. So understandably, he is going to lead this organization, and whatever team gets him across the National Football League, they're getting one of the best defensive backs coaches, and that's why this loss to the Eagles coaching staff hurts. Last year in 2022, Philadelphia had the top-ranked secondary in the NFL. Darius Slay and James Bradberry balled out. CJ Gardner-Johnson went from a primarily a nickel slot corner role with the New Orleans Saints. He gets traded to Philadelphia right before the season after having played just more than 80 snaps at safety in his NFL career. And I thought at times he was playing at an all-pro level at that safety spot, and he could cash in as one of, if not the highest paid safeties in free agency. That's some of the buzz that I've been hearing out there, and players really liked Dennard Wilson as well. Darius Slay took to Twitter to say that he believes he had an opportunity to be a defensive coordinator. When I asked CJ Gardner-Johnson how he made that switch so easily from nickel slot corner to safety, he pointed to Dennard Wilson. So it's a big loss for this Eagles coaching staff, and now the pressure is on Nick Sirianni to have these hirings right by bringing in Sean Desai, by elevating Brian Johnson, and now you have to find a replacement for Dennard Wilson. And hopefully a replacement on this coaching staff on the defensive side of the ball is not Matt Patricia. This report just took off on social media on Sunday. I'm hearing from this respective reporter here that Matt Patricia has a shot to land with the Eagles on the defensive staff, presumably as a linebackers coach. There's a lot of beef between Matt Patricia and Darius Slay when Matt Patricia was the head coach for the Detroit Lions. And Charles Woodson tweeted out last night, the player is going to play. It doesn't mean that he has to like him. Meaning Darius Slay is going to play. It does not mean that he has to like Matt Patricia. But Quandre Diggs said, "Oh, gee, Charles Woodson, I love you, but this situation is totally different." And Darius Slay quote tweeted that and said, "A lot different." We know that it was reported on, and Darius Slay even admitted that Matt Patricia told him at the time that he was not a top-tier cornerback in this league. Then Darius Slay goes on to reel off several Pro Bowl appearances, was named an All-Pro, and that beef has lingered between those two. And for Nick Sirianni here, I understand that you're a confident dude. I understand that you're confident in your abilities as a head coach because in 2 years in Philadelphia, you've really been able to turn this franchise around to a certain degree. But a backbone and a pillar of the Eagles' success has been the locker room chemistry. And I don't think that Nick Sirianni should mess with the good chemistry that's currently going on within this Eagles locker room. It's what has made this Eagles team really special the last 2 years under Nick Sirianni's watch. And why would you bring in Matt Patricia and irk Darius Slay, who's one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL, and you just named him a team captain during the 2022 season? It doesn't make sense. And if Nick Sirianni does that, I have some concerns about how he's putting this coaching staff together. But what do you think? With how things are trending, you lose your offensive coordinator, your defensive coordinator, Dennard Wilson leaves, and maybe Matt Patricia is coming into Philly. Are you concerned about how things are trending? Type C for concerned, NW for not worried. Let me know down below in the comment section. As for the latest Eagles draft buzz following the NFL Combine, we're going to take a look at some players the Eagles could be targeting at number 10 and number 30. And these are players who have been consistently mocked to Philadelphia. Then after the NFL Scouting Combine, some players who are gaining some traction as potential Eagles draftees. At number 10, might be smart to draft a cornerback, especially if James Bradberry goes somewhere else in NFL free agency. He probably is going to. So the top 3 corners at number 10, Christian Gonzalez out of Oregon, Joey Porter Jr. out of Penn State, Devon Witherspoon out of Illinois. We're going to go player for player here, then hit on a couple of running backs, and on today's show, some exclusive interviews with some of these players. Now, I'm not sure if you're familiar about these relative athletic scores, but these athletes are basically tested on a scale of 0 to 10 with some of these athletic testing numbers. For instance, you see a lot of green here. That's positive for Christian Gonzalez. That means he's elite in a lot of these categories. He had an overall RAS score of 9.95, with 10 being perfect. His composite size grade, great. 6 foot, 197 pounds, bench 225 14 times. I don't really care about how much a cornerback is able to bench press, but 14 reps is solid. His vertical leap, 41.5. His broad jump, very good as well. Then his 40-yard dash. He clocked in at a sub 4.40 at 4.38. That is really, really good. And when you scout him, he's a really good tackler, which is important, especially for an Eagles defense that hasn't been the best tackling unit the last couple of years. Size and speed, you can check that off. Great movement for his size. I like his versatility as well. He can guard big-bodied wide receivers, but also small, shifty, and fast wide receivers. And he does have long arms to jam at the line of scrimmage. As for Joey Porter Jr., some people had questioned his athleticism heading into the NFL Scouting Combine. But as you can see, there's a lot of green here, but a lot more yellow, which is more in that average category as compared to Christian Gonzalez. But the height, pretty solid, 6 foot, $193, 17 reps on the bench press. The vertical jump, which sometimes goes to show you the explosion of that athlete, it was okay. Broad jump, very good. I thought he impressed a lot of people with his 40-yard dash time. Was he Keely Ringo and Christian Gonzalez fast? No, but he's a little bit more physical than those corners. 4.46 on the 40 and an overall RAS score of 9.63 on that scale of 10. And I watched a lot of Joey Porter this past year because growing up in Westchester, I went to Temple. It's not like you're going to root on the Temple football program as a kid. So the Penn State program was my blue blood college football program growing up. And that's why I've always watched Penn State a lot. Used to do a podcast with Matt McGloin, the former quarterback there. Joey Porter Jr. is a dog. And Joey Porter Jr. would really fit in well with what Philadelphians like in their football players. If we have that interview, we can pop that up coming up next. 254 coverage snaps this year, 0 touchdowns, and 10 forced incompletions. When he was targeted, allowed a passer rating of 59.1. A lot of people wanted to tell me that Joey Porter Jr. doesn't have good ball skills, yet he had 10 pass breakups and a passer rating of 59.1, and he tested a little bit better athletically than what a lot of people had anticipated. Now, at the NFL Scouting Combine, he, at this point of the interview, did not say that he's met with the Philadelphia Eagles, but did say he'd love to play for the Birds.
No, I haven't spoken with the Eagles yet, but I feel like Philly's a great city, so I'll definitely love to play there.
I think he'd be a great target for the Eagles at number 10, and I certainly think he's in play to get got there by Philadelphia with that spot, again, especially if James Bradberry does leave. More draft targets and scouting profiles coming up, as well as some of those drafty interviews. But first, today's show is sponsored by Athletic Greens. This is a supplement that's really changed my life, and it sets the foundation for the rest of my day when I take it first thing in the morning. I gave AG1 a try because given my work schedule at Chat Sports, combined with my training regimen, as I'm on a mission to run every day for a year straight, as I'm approaching 300 straight days, I needed and wanted sustained energy, have to stay healthy, want to keep my immune system strong, especially during free agency and draft week, so that I can strive toward my professional work life and personal fitness goals. I take AG1 every morning as part of my routine. It really does set the table for the rest of my day. It's helped improve my gut health. It's boosted my energy. It supports my immune system, and it helps me recover really quickly. Since I'm putting such a toll on my body, I don't get sore, as much as I used to after I've started taking AG1. I've also really prioritized my health since my mom passed away from cancer a couple of years ago. So I try to steer clear of chemicals and harsh ingredients. That's also why I love AG1 and its 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients. I just mix one small scoop of AG1 with water, drink it first thing each morning or before and after my workouts. I also love that something that's this good for you and prioritizing your health costs less than $3 a day. So, Bird Gang, if a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine, Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Head to athleticgreens.com/chatsports. That's athleticgreens.com/chatsports. As for Devon Witherspoon, did not partake in athletic testing drills because of a hamstring injury, but a lot of people believe he's the top cornerback in this draft class and really did burst onto the scene with the really impressive 2022 campaign for a Fighting Illini defense that was one of the best in the nation. Had a Pro Football Focus grade of 92, 738 total snaps, only gave up 22 catches on 63 targets with Illinois. That's good for a completion percentage of 34.9. Didn't give up a touchdown in coverage, had 3 interceptions this year. So what do you think? Will the Eagles go cornerback at number 10, or will they go with a different position at number 10? Like, let's say defensive line or offensive tackle. CB for they're going to take a cornerback, O for a different position. And if you want to list that position, you can do so down below in the comment section. Let's talk about 2 running backs here. Could a running back be taken by the Eagles at number 30? Like Jahmyr Gibbs, like Bijan Robinson, or Devon A-Chain? Eagles meeting with a couple of running backs at the NFL Scouting Combine. I also think in the second round, a running back is in play. And as far as Jahmyr Gibbs goes, love his game. Absolutely love it. This is a guy with dual threat ability, and last year he really displayed that. 151 carries, 926 yards, average yards per catch of 6.1, receptions 44, receiving yards 444. So this is a guy, actually that was yards per carry there at 6.1, but this is a guy who can really carve you up and slice you up through the air, but also running the football. What I also like about him is his usage from last year with the Crimson Tide, because you can see by his gap alignment here, he can run right up the middle. He can also get out to the perimeter with some really good speed. A-gap, 44 carries for 407 yards. B-gap, 27 carries. C-gap, 18. And then he was most used going outside of the tackle at 61 carries for 358 yards. His athletic testing, not as great at the NFL Scouting Combine, but honestly, what I'm focusing on here, it's the overall speed. And sometimes the relative athletic scores are a little bit too nerdy for me because I just have to put on the tape to see what a dude can do. And when I put on the tape for Jahmyr Gibbs, he runs the football effectively. He's also a very good pass catcher. And this is a guy that does remind me a little bit of a Christian McCaffrey type because of that dual threat ability. Clocked a 4.36 40-yard dash at 5'9", 199. Is he going to tower over you? No, but for running backs, I don't really believe that matters. The explosive nature with the vertical jump, it's not great by any means, but the 10-yard split, 20-yard split, and the 40-yard dash, very, very good. His RAS score, actually not as good. So the Eagles, maybe they could get him in the second round. An overall score of 7.95 on that scale to 10. And here's what Jahmyr Gibbs had to say from the NFL Scouting Combine and some of the running backs who he really likes.
Yeah.
It was formal. It was great. Yeah, like I said before, all my interviews were great. It's a great experience being with them. They're fun. They're a fun group. Weird questions? I mean, I went in a couple interviews and they had me shooting a basketball. Like Philly had me shooting a basketball. Cowboys, I threw like darts. Yeah, so.
So that was Gibbs on his meeting with the Philadelphia Eagles. As for the running backs who he likes, which I just mentioned a couple of moments ago, Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley. Those are some of the running backs that he's looked up to. He also said Barry Sanders, one of the best running backs of all time. A guy who blew a lot of people away from the scouting combine solely with this 40-yard dash because his athletic testing outside of that wasn't that great. Devon from Texas A&M clocked a 4.32 40-yard dash, but a little bit short and a little bit on the lighter side. Also not a great vertical. Only had an RAS score of 6.84 on that scale to 10. 5'8", 188. So goes to show you, a little bit shorter, a little bit leaner with the size, but that speed, it's daunting. And him at Texas A&M, you could see that speed on display. It's pull-away, giddy-up type of speed. 4.32 on the 40-yard dash. And here's our interview with him from the scouting combine as well.
I like my favorite running back in the NFL right now is Christian McCaffrey. So, he's a very good player. I feel like I can do what he do. I can run the ball. I can catch. I wasn't training with no NFL players, but I was training with like other prospects that's here though.
So it's funny, right? Because A-Chain and Jahmyr Gibbs both mentioned Christian McCaffrey. And I think that as the game of football has changed a little bit, and as the running back position has been somewhat devalued over the last couple of years, with running backs, 1, not getting paid as much in free agency, 2, not getting signed to second deals, and 3, teams just looking for running backs cheap. I think a lot of these backs look at a guy like Christian McCaffrey and they say, look, if I can pose a threat as a wide receiver out of the slot and catch the ball out of the backfield, but also run the football, I could be looked at less as a running back and more as a weapon. And for A-Chain, Jahmyr Gibbs, they do have that dynamic type of ability. And I've said time and time again, I wouldn't take a running back in the first round. But man, I'd be salivating over the thought of Bijan Robinson at number 30. Or Jahmyr Gibbs, Devon A-Chain at some point in this draft, maybe at number 30, because of the impact that they can have. And if it's a Christian McCaffrey-like impact, and you know that they're going to be able to come in, and in year 1, they're going to be able to produce, then maybe you start to think about it in this way, right? We're just getting a weapon who's going to be able to elevate our offense to a certain degree. And yeah, we might not sign him to a second deal, but we're going to pay him a fraction of the price of Miles Sanders. And for 4 or 5 years, they're going to be a really, really good player for our offense. So that's the latest Eagles news, rumors, analysis, and especially buzz following the NFL Scouting Combine. I'm pumped up for the draft. We're going to continue to give you some really good draft content here on the channel. And if you're excited for the draft, type me. Don't forget to subscribe because our free agency coverage next week, it's going to be fantastic.